What is up, fellow adventurers? 2022, new year, new video, because that's about how often I post videos. And where have I been? Well, trying to level a rogue. It's a fucking nightmare. But I've finally done it, so as always, we're obviously checking out how our build performs in a casual raid setting. Because I think either you check how good your build is in a casual raid or like R10 content. There's no in between. So, what I've done is 18 levels of rogue and 2 levels of monk. Is that strong? What do you guys think? You lose the capstone of rogue. Is that really important? I think it is, but I've gotten rid of it for the monk stances. Monk is very cool these days, and I can't decide if I want to be in fire stance or wind stance. The benefit of fire stance in the third tier is that you get an extra crit multi on 19s and 20s. I think that's pretty strong, but also in this new kind of meta where it's hard to get 100 double strike, I think wind stance is really good. Either the third or fourth tier, whatever it is, but it costs an extra feat to get this one all the way to the top for 4 more decks. And obviously this build is dex based, so maybe going like wind stance is the best, but I don't know, I never make good builds, I just make okay builds, right? So this gives between 12.5 and 15% double strike, depending on if you're a master or grandmaster. And my double strike's like 92. So basically, because you're using daggers, you can just sit in fire, pop your double strike back down to about 80, and just use rapid slash. Rapid slash is from the Vistani knife fighter tree, and obviously, I haven't even told you what weapon we're using. We're using daggers, so we're a dagger, rogue, monk. Very cool, love it. Rapid slash gives you 20% morale bonus to your double strike, but you have to hit the mob for it to go off. So and its cooldown is as long as it lasts. So basically 100% uptime. And then you're getting like 100% double strike, which you must have. Like, it's just so critical for DPS now to hit that 100 double strike all the time. I know it's a lot of investment and it's really annoying, but it's worth it to get there. So that's how I've done it, just by basically using rapid slash. So it's pretty easy in the Vistani knife fighter tree to get there and get that. We're just jumping into a dryad here, as you guys know. We'll just run through it and I'll just talk shit the whole time, as always. Base stat, main stat is dex, as I said, you know, all levels up, max it out, the rest kind of in con. Int is important for a rogue, as you guys probably know, so maybe some swaps for an int item, a couple of points in there at the start for more skill points is good. Rogues get plenty of skill points, so maybe you don't need to put too many points in there, especially if you've got tomes. I think starting at like 12 or 14 is pretty good. Start your dex as high as you can and your con as high as you can. Strength, charisma, and wisdom, they annoyed me leveling up, but now I'm at level 30, doesn't matter at all. You just dump them all to hell, who cares? And I'm Shader Kai, which is a pretty cool race because it's got the spinny chains, but it's also because I'm extremely lazy. I didn't want to level from like 1 to 30. We just went from 15 to 30, and it still took me a year, or it felt like a year. So I've tried to get my assassinate quite high, and you can go higher. I think for the highest kind of content, you need like a 110 to a 115, and that takes a bit more investment into either your decks, a couple of assassinate enhancements, and maybe even some filigrees to get it up there. 105 works like okay. I find in R10s on a high fort mob it's not working, and that's frustrating, but if that happens, then I just like use everything is nothing, which is because I'm in the monk destiny. I bet you didn't expect that. Let's look at destinies while this guy plays his guitar. So, because Grandmaster of Flowers has a lot of cool bonuses up the top here, that's why I went for it. You got some double strike here. Everything is nothing is cool. This extra MRR cap is handy, so you don't die as much, because obviously, well, you can have to use robes as a monk, so it fucks up your MRR. Split the soul, I don't know, it's okay. These destinies aren't set in stone. You can probably do whatever you want, but having like an idea in mind helps. I was, as I said, trying to max out the double strike and stuff, and obviously being a monk, the Grandmaster of Flowers is good for me. You get some extra bypass for your weapons, which is handy, and a couple of these like stances have bonuses to absorption, which is really strong, so get on board that. I've gone for the Drifting Lotus as my epic strike, because as you guys know, you can only have one epic strike. I'm not married to this one yet. I haven't decided if it's the best, and I might change again to a different one. Like, I'd like to use Adrenaline, or maybe even the Shadow Dancer epic strike. But Drifting Lotus gives a stun, and now that it's not based off wisdom, I don't know if it ever was based off wisdom, but it's based off your main stat for the DC, is pretty good, and you can get it up to, mine's only like a 90 or an 87, but it does stun things sometimes, which is handy, but also does a bit of extra damage, which, again, very cool. I think Fury of the Wild is another good one I'd love to stay in because it's got some strong stuff and some HP, and rogues struggle with HP. I have 2000 HP, but that's because I've got like all the past lives because I am a whale. And then obviously there's the Shadow Dancer tree. Now, I had problems with the two top things, the Shadow Mastery one and the Consume Shadow. I couldn't get those to like work reliably, so I don't like them. If someone wants to tell me how to use them well, or has a video of how to use them well, let me know. And also, like, this top one here gives spell DCs, so that's kind of useless as well. So what I've done, I've got over 100% melee threat multiplier, so I'm literally doing no damage to the mob it thinks. So I can't take aggro. You can just hit the shit out of this thing all day, and you just don't take aggro. It's really handy, but very rarely do you want aggro as a rogue, in my opinion. So yeah, do zeros anyway. So basically in combat, you want someone else to go in first. You just sneak in, try and assassinate something, and after the assassinate goes off, I usually just throw my chain twice because they're pretty cool. Hit your dodge clickies so you don't die, and just try and survive then. Everything is nothing. It's pretty handy if you're in that tree. Yeah, and that's basically what I do. I just try to survive while everyone else dies. You can heal yourself. Use your dodge clickies. Your dodge is quite high because you're in robes. Well, if you invest in it, I guess it can go high. But it's not amazing in like R10, but it's around R6. I'm finding it's pretty good. But as I said, I think a first life build, realistically, you could probably do like R6 if you were paying attention to everything and had the gear. But the gear again is the real hurdle. So yeah, that's it, boys. Let's talk about gear. I've tried to use a gear set that doesn't include the Shan set. Obviously the Shan set is really good for melees and it's hard to replace, and I'm still struggling to find the perfect gear set because of how powerful it is. I really wanted to use the legendary Red Dragon Scale armor. I've got the robe here. You can do other builds and use the other ones, but the reason it's good is because after like 3 or 4 hits, it's doing like 1,000 damage per swing in non-Reaper content, which is like, I think that's pretty good just for wearing this armor. And then the helm, I kind of needed to use the helm to get like the melee power, and it also gives me fortification in this build. It's not like the ideal piece for the gear set, but you know, it's what I could really come up with. Also using the legendary Tharns set. So that set gives you like some dexterity and ghostly kind of stuff, so you have higher incorporeal chance. I am using the Family's Blessing. I know I said I wasn't using the Shan set, but I'm using a piece of it because it's just so good, and it kind of had what I was looking for. Like the quality assassinate is awesome, double strike is handy, and the armor piercing is good. And something that kind of, I think, has kind of set the build apart from a lot of other ones is I'm using the legendary Bloodstone rather than the Ring of Prowess, and I understand that you get less melee power because of that. Well, that sucks. This kind of gives other options. The set gives +3 artifact bonus to con and dex, which is kind of vital to this build, and then it saves you the need for getting 3 of the dex augments for that bonus, or 3 con augments for that bonus. You can just get them together here. It also has the 3 sneak attack dice, which is cool. But it pairs with this Ancient Volcorum dagger. It's not great, but for this set, like, it is kind of good. So that's why I'm using those 2 pieces. I ended up using the Silver Dragon Scale Capelet here because it has sheltering, which is pretty strong. I was really struggling to get PRR, and because the rogue is so squishy anyway, you want to get as much PRR as you can, and this has insightful sheltering anyway. The dodge is nice, and insightful dex. Ended up using the legendary Braided Cut Cord, which is from the Ravenloft set, because it has the quality dex on it. There's other items with quality dex, and I guess the belt and the rings and the gloves and the cloak are like flexible items in this build set, but it worked for me because I was trying to max out my dexterity, obviously, and other bits and pieces. Ended up using a Ring of the Silver Tongue, which is from Killing Time. Because it has the Assassinate bonuses, they're probably some of the highest Assassinate bonuses in the game, and it's all on one item, which is cool. Also has the Deception, which is just a bit of extra damage. And I wanted to use these Legendary Charge Gauntlets. You could also use the Gauntlets of the Storm Reaver. Reason being is because on a natural 20, They have the Lightning Strike. I think it's like 600 to 1,000 damage, depending. But you have to confirm the critical on that 20, which usually you do. So it's just a bit of extra damage, just trying to get as many sources as I possibly can. And for boots, I've got Legendary Boots of the Mire because they've got like base sheltering and a bit of vitality and some quality con. That's just like 3 good stats that I wanted. And as I said, like this, it's not probably not the best set you could use, but it's working for me at the moment to get what I wanted. For the artifact, which is usually what you build your gear set around, I'm using obviously the Dex Insightful Accuracy one. The Insightful Accuracy and Insightful Deadly is really helpful because with my enhancement setup, I couldn't know the angles, and I'll show you guys one now. For enhancements, I've basically just done everything into Assassin Rogue and Vistani Knife Fighter. And obviously, if you've got Racial Completionist, you can have a couple of extra in here. I think what really kind of sets this build off, and usually just rogues in general using daggers, in the Assassin tree at level 18, you get Lethality, which is when you're using Cloth or Light Armor, and Insight bonus to your critical damage multiplier. So that basically gives daggers like a 6, well, as you can see, a 15 to 20 times 4. Like, I know the base damage is really low, but that's a really good kind of crit profile for doing damage. But even in saying that, you won't be doing a whole heap of damage because you are using daggers. And also, you have to find a way to spend 41 points in Vistani to get the capstone. Like, it's so strong. 5% attack speed, 2 to ability scores, and then 20 melee power. There could be an argument made to take a few points out of there and put them into like Thief Acrobat for the speed, Ninja Spy for a couple more sneak die, and stuff like that. But for now, this is pretty good. I'd love to hear what everyone else kind of thinks about it. And also, not everyone has this luxury, but I've got the Greater Spike Chain Attack, and obviously you get the Racial Spike Chain Attack. There's been plenty of videos on how bad it used to be. It's not as bad now because you can use it while moving. You can use it while riding your horse. It gets affected by speed boost or haste boost. And it's just basically the only way I could find for a rogue to do AoE damage. For like boss fights, I guess you just want to have your displacement, if you have that. Like, use your dodge, use your Vistani Fortune kind of stuff. Split the soul if you went for that. And your haste boost, which I'm out of. And because you don't get aggro, you can basically just wail on the boss the whole time. And basically don't take damage unless they cleave you. So let's have a look. If I do, yeah, this guy doesn't even know I'm attacking him. He's just, oh wait, he does. Well, I dodged it. Blurry. Dodge. Dodge. Nice. So I guess this is why R6 is kind of easy. Yeah. Go with confidence, my friends.